Hello everybody, so this is not a planned video today. Kristine and I were having an amazing discussion about realizing things and thinking through, and we want to hear your comments. So join our discussion, and at the end, please feel free to write in the comment section below, what do you feel, how do you feel about it?
So it all started because I've been doing some painting and I've been now putting stuff back. And so I was putting on a towel rack in my bathroom and I had to screw it in. And as I was screwing it in, I was kind of worried. I wanted to make sure it was level. And then I realized, you know what, if it doesn't work, I can just unscrew it and change it. And that got me thinking you know what? From the beginning of time, when we were born, women and men, we have been taught to approach life and approach projects and things differently. And you might be wondering, what do you mean by this? And what I mean is when guys are little boys get their toys, they have these projects or these things like Lego, let's say, and there's a goal. And as you're putting things together, if it doesn't work, you can take it apart, you can modify it until you get to whatever structure, like if you're building a car or a boat or whatever it is. Whereas with women, when you have little girls that are playing with things, there's not really necessarily a goal, or maybe there is, but in terms of how you approach it, there's usually not a right or wrong. There's a lot more creativity that goes along with it. So for instance, if you're dressing a Barbie doll, there really isn't a right or a wrong way to do it. It's basically just dress up the doll and it's your style, whatever it is. So what I've noticed is when that kind of as women and men grow up and get older, then the same kind of approaches that they would take to playing with their toys, they take to approaching life and other projects and jobs and opportunities. If you look at men, they'll go for things and they'll try things, and if it doesn't work, they'll fix it. And whereas women are a lot more kind of cautious, and when we learn the right or the wrong, then it's a lot more intimidating, just because we haven't been exposed to this until really adulthood or school, or it's just different. What do you think, Kim?
I think you have a good point. I think you're actually bringing in information that is really interesting, and that's why I want people to talk about it today, because you bring it in a way where we can actually see the image of the little boy playing with Lego doesn't work, flip back to the page, redo it, right? And as I'm coaching people and as I'm living my own life, and I'm sure probably the same for you, do you realize that women, we are really, really demanding about ourselves and really don't give much a chance at error to ourselves. We're really, really critical toward ourselves, right? As an error is a failure and it's not good. And I'm thinking this can actually be one of the reasons why. The other thing I want to bring forward, and it's kind of what you were saying, is that boys are used to build something, doesn't work, you just do it, right? And if you see a woman and a man, and the woman has something to say to the man, and she's going to say, today this happened, the men tend to automatically go in resolving the issue mode when the woman just needs to talk about it most of the time. So I think it's also part of their biology, the way they're made from cavemen and everything, just to fix things, do things, building things. So I think it's part of kind of the way not only they were groomed as a child, depending what they were playing with, they were encouraged to build stuff with daddy in the backyard, or help with mechanics, and think that it's developing this trial and error thing and then fixing it over and over again. So definitely, yeah, I can totally see that, and I want to know what people think about it, because I think you're really on something here that obviously your childhood totally affect the way you're going to evolve in life. And because we have created, we're going away from that. But remember when I was young, you were young, it was more the little girl had her toys and the little boy had their toys, right? Now we're living in a world where it's okay for a boy to play with Barbie, and it's okay for a girl to play Bob the Builder. Like, it's getting different, but definitely it's kind of encouraged from when you were young and the way you were raised and what was expected from you at that time.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, Kim, it's like very millennial like it's not really the generation that's kind of currently growing up, but like millennials are a huge range. And Kim and I work with a lot of millennial clients, so realizing this is big because when it comes to like change, when we work with our clients, we want to help people go from where they are to where they want to be, and in order to do that, you have to make changes in your life and in your habits and the way that you approach things and the way that you look at things. And if we're dealing with somebody who is like a man, it's a lot easier for you to go, okay, you have to modify this thing, or like, let's look at this plan and let's adjust, and they'll go, okay, like I get it, I'll try that. Whereas when you look at a woman, there are all these like mental roadblocks that go, wait a minute, like change, like how do I approach this, or what happens if it doesn't work, or like how do I restart? And there's a lot more hesitancy, and we're trying to like Kim and I always evolve as we go, and we're always trying to find like those little things that will make a big difference in all of our clients' lives. So Kim and I both like agreed that this is too big for us just to share with our clients. Like, we want to share this idea with other people, and especially the millennial generation, because if you're trying to figure out what's holding you back, this might be one of those things where it's like this safety feature that's a learned behavior that you can kind of unlearn and start really embracing change and living your best life.
I have a question for you, Kristine. Like, thinking about what we just explained, do you feel, I wouldn't say all relationship, but a lot of marriage that are falling apart, if the woman usually brings it forward, the man will automatically have the idea of, well, let's save it. Let's work on it. When usually a woman is approaching such a subject, usually her mind is quite done. She will go for help. She will try to keep going most of the time. But, we see a lot of example where, the men just feel he didn't get a chance to fix it, right? If the decision's already taken. So do you feel that approach can also have an impact on relationship as you get older?
Most definitely, because if you're learning right or wrong later on, it's kind of like black and white, and the gray is missing. And I think that if you are in a relationship, especially now, and if you're trying to do like the right thing and have like the perfect life, I think it's really easy to all of a sudden look and go, oh, everybody else is jumping ship. Maybe I can just have a restart with somebody else. The reality is that these are people, and no person is perfect. And there are all kinds of situations and all kinds of relationships. But if you have like a good foundation with somebody and you've just got some issues that you have to work through, that can be a time where all of a sudden there's this fear of like, oh my goodness, like things might need to change or might need to shift, or I might need to change in order to make this work. Because a lot of people look at their other partner and they go, you need to change for this to work. And they don't look at themselves and go, I might also be part of the problem and we both have to change.
Yes, and I agree. And usually, I always tell you, when there's a separation or when there's a split, it's never 1%, 100% one's fault. It's always divided. Might not be 50-50, but both of the people have to recenter and look at themselves absolutely to grow.
Wait,
but yeah, so this is.
I just wanted to add something. So,
Yeah.
what's actually really cool, what I've noticed is when people, including myself and like the clients that I work with, when they start changing how they look at themselves, how they approach life, how they approach work, how they approach their relationships, they start to comment on how other people are treating them differently and looking at them differently. And it's neat because a lot of times, like when you change, then other factors will change around you. So if people are having challenges in their relationship, it doesn't mean you have to pull the plug right away if nothing like big is like seriously wrong. Maybe start really working on yourself and seeing if that will help things.
And I find that women are usually a lot more receptive to work on themselves and doing self-assessment, self-development than men. So that brings me to another question. So we said men were conditioned in a way, most of them, once again, I don't want people to listen to that thing, we're talking about all men, but, you know, boy, we're conditioned to try, error, you know, build, fix thing, okay? But when you're broken, women tend to have more facility to go for help and rebuild themselves. So would you say that as much as everything that is physically, everything that is you handle and it's external, it's easier for men to see that something they can fix, but when it's inside, because they were raised as being strong and be that person you can rely on, that maybe when it's internal, they're having a harder time to fix things. When women, externally, they're waiting for that perfect relationship, perfect life, perfect, you know, like they make a mistake and they're very strict toward themselves and very feel guilty about it, but tend to have an easier time when it's time to fix and rebuild themselves internally.
Definitely. And I mean, society is trying to change now, right? To allow men to be more vulnerable. But even when society is changing, I think there's still a lot of people that are expecting men to be the backbone of things, you know, like the safety net, the person you can run to when your car breaks down, like, you know, the person that will save you from something. I think it's a societal thing, Kim, and I think that it's going to take a lot of time. But within a relationship, we talk about this all the time. It's important to be honest and be able to have those vulnerable conversations. And you do that when you have a strong partnership. So I think opening the door to conversations, and especially realizing that people aren't perfect, and kind of admitting to your spouse or your long-term relationship, or even a short-term partner, going like, look,
Even
like,
a friend.
or a friend, going like, I like you. There are lots of great qualities I like about you. I know that you're not perfect. So, you know, if there's something going on, or if we need to work on something, we have to be comfortable kind of talking about how we feel about a particular situation. And you know, that's actually a really good way to have discussions, as opposed to how are you feeling, to say how do you feel about this situation, and or how do you feel about moving in this direction. And that really forces somebody to think about how their feelings like are attached to that thing, as opposed to, you know, how are you feeling today? And it's like, well, I guess I'm feeling good, or I guess like I'm feeling okay. But so if you be specific and ask how they feel about a specific circumstance, I think that can really go a long way.
So as I mentioned earlier, please comment below. We want to know, do you feel that men and women have been conditioned in the past, the way they were raised, to either be more fixer type, or more critical toward each other, or more thinking that, you know, looking for that perfect picture? So just let us know how you feel about all the topic we have touched today. And this is a kind of nice discussion we want to share with you guys. And we're excited to see what you have to say about it.
Yeah, so we, as always, if you enjoy our videos, please click the like button and subscribe to our channel for more videos, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Bye.
Bye.